What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cruise News Show. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news. Well, the big news today is that we are on the cusp of getting a vaccine for COVID-19. This will have huge implications in the cruising space. And in today's episode, let me tell you what we know about the vaccine. And let's try to unpack what all of this may mean for the resumption of cruising. Well, the big announcement, Pfizer announcing today that they have a vaccine, and that vaccine has a 90% effective rate. This vaccine developed in rapid succession over the last few months. The last hurdle for it is to get emergency authorization from the FDA, and that's where this vaccine is heading. This is huge news when it comes to fighting COVID-19. As we watch over the last couple weeks, those numbers are spiking across the world. A lot of people cheering this announcement by Pfizer today. The stock market is up on this announcement. Cruise stocks are up on this announcement. It is a big deal. This is a significant medical breakthrough that promises to alter really the course of history when it comes to dealing with this virus. And this breakthrough comes pretty quick, just in a matter of months. Normally, a vaccine takes years before it is considered safe and effective. Just to put it in perspective, the fastest vaccine that was ever approved was the vaccine for the mumps, and that took about 4 years. Again, under a year for the development of this COVID-19 vaccine. Now, to be certain and cautious, just because this vaccine is ready to go and on its way to getting approval does not mean that people will be able to receive it super soon. Many experts predict it will take until the second half of next year, 2021, to really get people vaccinated. Right now, they believe they can have around 50 million doses ready to go by the end of the year. The interesting thing about this vaccine is you have to take 2 doses. So at 50 million, that means there's about 25 million people that could get the vaccine in 2020. That will probably go to first responders, people on the front line, people in at-risk communities. But there's still a ramp-up period that needs to happen to get this vaccine produced and get this vaccine out to the people. And it opens up a whole can of worms. It opens up a whole bunch of questions. Will this vaccine be mandated? Is that even possible? If you think about the flu vaccine, the latest numbers on the CDC website for 2018-2019, about 66% of kids got the flu vaccine in that time period, and only about 46% of adults got vaccinated for the flu during that time period. And so again, it's going to be interesting to see this play out, whether this COVID-19 vaccine will be mandated, whether it will be optional, and if so, how many people will take it. Interesting to see what happens when we look forward a year from now into the fall of 2021 to see how many people have taken this vaccine. So that's huge news. That is great news in the battle against the coronavirus. Hey, also good news is if you are so inclined, I would invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you like staying up to date on the latest cruise news, hit the subscribe button with the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any of the shows. Now let's talk about how this announcement about the vaccine plays into cruising. This is a question that comes up a lot, at least in our cruising communities and in the comments here on YouTube. Will a vaccine be the end-all be-all, the silver bullet to let cruising resume again? I'm going to break it down 2 ways. Let's talk about in the long term, and then we'll talk about in the short term. We'll talk about what it looks like for the next year. I think in the long term, the vaccine will play a big role for all businesses being able to resume again. I don't anticipate that the full population will take the vaccine. I can't imagine it being mandated, but I do believe that a large percentage of the population will take the vaccine, which will get us closer to a situation where less and less people can infect each other with the coronavirus. The more people that are immunized through vaccination will reduce the amount of people that can get the virus. And so I do believe that that will help us slow the spread. So long term, I think the vaccine will be a huge play when it comes to getting life back to some sort of normalcy. But in the short term, in relation to cruising, I don't think it's going to make that much of an impact, just because it will not be widely distributed until at least a year from now. It's going to take a while for people to get vaccinated. And the cruise industry, they can't wait a year to start cruising again. So with that reality in play, where the cruise industry just cannot wait for a widely vaccinated customer base to exist, they will have to continue with the work they're doing with the CDC, working inside of the framework for conditional sailing. The big pillar in that framework is that all crew and all passengers are tested before boarding the cruise ship. They are tested at the point of embarkation. There is extensive rules for testing the crew, and And the idea is that you want everybody who's getting on a cruise ship to go sailing to have a negative COVID test. And since we know that testing is not 100% accurate, the rest of the pillars in the framework will be at place. Social distancing, masking, the limiting of self-service, sanitation, hygiene protocols, all those things will be in place. And just a reminder, the framework that the CDC's put in place doesn't expire until November the 1st, 2021. So what I expect cruising to look like for the next year is outlined in that CDC document. I think it'll be very safety protocol oriented. I think that this is the only way that that industry can start back up, is following those rules. So if you're going to go cruising in the next 12 months, I would just anticipate that testing is going to be a part of your cruising experience, and the other health protocols will be a part of your cruising experience. We get the question, what if I've already had the COVID? What if I do get the vaccine? I think the level of complexity for the cruise line to sort out who's been vaccinated, who's had the virus, to keep up with all that and make some sort of determination on a guest by guest basis would be overwhelming. In addition to everything else that they're doing, I think that they will stick with the protocols that are laid out in the conditional sail framework, and testing is going to be the big one. Testing will be the thing that defines cruising for the next year as the vaccination of the population rolls out. Who knows? It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. How many people get vaccinated? How many people don't? Will there be a vaccination mandate? Will there be some sort of requirement to get on a cruise ship with a vaccine? Again, for the next year, I say no, but we will have to answer that question again next fall as more people have been vaccinated. We'll have to see how that is going to impact the cruise industry. The big takeaways is we got a COVID-19 vaccine on its way that's ready to fight back the coronavirus. That's awesome news. Great news for the infection rate. Great news even more so for the fatality rate. It looks like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But when it comes to cruising, I think that the end of that tunnel is at least a year or more away. So we continue to trudge forward, hopeful that the cruise industry can restart under these protocols so that they can stay afloat until they can make it to the end of next year. But hey, that's just my assessment. That's just my opinion. Do you agree or disagree? Is the vaccine a game changer short term for the cruise industry? Let me know down there in the comments. The word for today is effective. If you are so creatively inclined, try to work effective into your comment, and you might get highlighted at the end of the week. So thank you so much for watching the Cruise News Show today. Hope you enjoyed it. Please show your support by hitting the like button. This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.